Hi guys, thanks for tuning in to another episode of Nuggets News. In this video, I want to give you a quick rundown of the US Senate hearing into cryptocurrencies, ICOs and securities that took place last night. Now this hearing certainly had a different feel to it than the previous hearing where Chairman Giancarlo of the CFTC really came out the other end as a hero, speaking about the interest that this has piqued in the younger generation. This is a promising technology, plenty of innovation. We don't want to get in the way and stifle any of that. So the headlines to come out of this hearing are a bit stronger. So stronger words. We saw some very strong opinions from both sides of the fence, from different Congress members. Little action at this stage, but those ICOs and securities did draw fire. So I'll talk about a few of the quotes as we go through, but here's a few of the main points that I want to talk about. So the opening remarks by Mr. Sherman, one of the congressmen in particular, were very strong. So he said that all cryptocurrencies are a crock. They're a means for financing terrorism, criminal activities, gambling, nefarious activities, and that no social good can come from using cryptocurrencies. He said they're a means for people to sit in their pajamas and promise their wives that they'll become millionaires. Now that to me is absolute rubbish, very close-minded, but we have to remember that that's the people that we are up against. They're set in their ways. They're that older generation. They have, financial incentives. They're getting money from these corporations and banks to support them and lobbying. So we need to spread the word, and it's up to us to change that opinion of the general population, because we are up against those people in positions of power that don't want this to succeed. So other members of Congress were more neutral to positive. None of us want to kill this innovation. Some of these projects are raising billions of dollars. There's something to this. If we clamp down on regulation, they're going to move to other jurisdictions, and they acknowledge that that is already happening. Now, there was interest in security. They were asking Coinbase about how they store it and cybersecurity and what regulatory body that falls under. Virtual currencies versus a security versus promises of, issuing these shares before they've even built a platform. So future promises versus commodities. And they want to learn, okay? They don't understand how this all works. They're very interested. It's a slow-moving process for each of these members to ask questions and try and form regulations and opinions about it all. So they know blockchain technology itself can change a lot of industries. We're already seeing that. There's some great examples given. They spoke about Ethereum being the fuel of an ecosystem versus, a digital commodity versus securities and issued for companies and that sort of thing as well. So they're trying to define what is what, and it is a very grey area, and even more so, whose authority and regulation does it fall under? So the SEC and the CFTC spoke about how they've got pretty full plate, so they were meant to be responsible for policing all this. Congress was saying, do we need more regulatory bodies and more authoritarians to oversee all this? And one of the issues or points raised was that Coinbase has 20% of their staff dedicated just for regulation. And one congressman said, that's great, but that's too much. Those people could be working on innovation and changing the world instead of running around trying to, meet all these requirements. So there's good arguments on both sides of the fence. I guess the most positive thing of the members of Congress was Mr. Emmer, who's saying that this is all very exciting. We don't quite understand it yet. So why do we want to regulate it? Why are we taking this approach of, oh my gosh, we need to police this. We need more policemen or new policemen to oversee and regulate all this. So why are we taking this stance if we don't even yet understand it? Now, we're doing all this to advance government bodies, but we're taking away the individual's liberties. And he very much acknowledged that this is a chance for everyone to level the playing field. As I've said before, if you've got a good idea, for the first time ever, you can source capital for all over the world to fund your idea. So yes, they want to protect investors. As they're saying here, they're not going to sit idly by with a lack of protection for investors. But at the same time, they don't want to stifle innovation. So regulation in this space is something that the US has to get right, because poor or rush policy in cryptocurrencies really threatens our reputation in finance and technology. And as I said, they were already acknowledging that, over-regulating and the inability and the cost of some of these projects to comply with US laws that are already in existence is forcing them to launch in other jurisdictions. So Again, I think this is a little bit of an overreaction to the downside. The market really took this hard. A big red candle on the daily here. I'll be interested to see how the market digests this, but yeah, I didn't think it was overall that negative. I don't think there's anything to worry about at all at this stage, but very interesting to hear some different opinions, but I thought the expert panel spoke very well. So I hope that's a good summary that you guys have enjoyed. Please hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, share these videos around, and as always, thanks for tuning in, guys. Cheers.